गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल विजडम क्यूरेटर्स। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका पेज पे। So we were talking of internet security, and as we had discussed earlier, the four pillars that we need to have are of security, privacy, safety, and of well-being. Those are the four tenets on which security issues are based. And regarding security, as discussed earlier, we need to have a two-factor authentication on all our apps and devices, right? So whether it is logging into Facebook or whether it's an Insta account or a Gmail, YouTube, all of these, the apps now provide for a two-factor authentication by the users. So that is a good bet that it can still be broken into, but from our end, this is what we to enhance our security. So two-factor means there are 2 points of privacy and security which you need to put in. It is based on the principle that it is something that you have, an ID that you, the user, can provide, and an OTP which is on the spot generated, and a random number which is provided by the system. So person who has logged in with a particular secure device is able to authenticate themselves and then go ahead on the platform. So that's a two-factor authentication that we use. Then privacy is your information which you put out on the net. So that constitutes privacy. So it's like drawing the shades of your window or closing the door of your house. So security is closing the door of your house and locking your house, and privacy is drawing the shades of the window when you're in the room. So how much information you want the other person to have of you is dependent totally on you. So that is a privacy matter. So if you are opening out the curtains totally, of course, everyone has a full access to you, a full view of you. But if you're drawing the shades, they have only limited access of you. So it is very important what information you put out for others to collect and to have about you. Now, when we log into Facebook or when we create an account to any device, they usually ask us where we have studied, our hometown, our date of birth, our pictures, several other consents. So there are devices where we need to give consent to be using the device, but it is in our hands to withdraw that consent. Sometimes we need to decide what all permissions we are giving to a particular device. We need to go through their privacy settings and see whether we really need to divulge that information with that other app, with the other third party. Of course, these privacy rules are given on the apps, but we do not take the effort to read through them. And even if we do, they are very long drawn, and of course, they are quite confusing for a general user. What information we give out is up to us, and we need to exercise some discretion when you're using the internet. More information the give, the more vulnerable we become. So less is more is the mantra in using the internet, and it is for our own safety. Now, many times when we post, we do it in haste. We are excited about certain things we want to share with people, but then it is important to consider whether it is really important for the other person to know where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, whether it's my birthday, whether it's somebody else's birthday in my family. So need to know basis is very important to discern and to exercise. First step towards cyber safety is to be aware of what constitutes cyber safety and how we could make ourselves safe. Many times we hear people that it doesn't matter, what do we need to hide, why is our data important, I'm just an ordinary person, so if somebody does get access to my information, what harm they could possibly do. But the thing is that through the information that I give out, people are able to gain access to not just me, they are able to get a profile or develop a personality type for me. They are also able to piece that information together to get to my family or to my relatives or to my colleagues. And of course, we do not want that. We do not want to lead people to others just because we are not very conscious about the information that we give out. Many times parents tag their children on social media. So I need to make this point that whenever we put out pictures of our friends or family groups and we are tagging people, it is a privacy matter. And it's a group picture, of course, I am free to post my picture anywhere and to tag myself. But if I am to tag my son, or if I am to tag my friend, if I am to tag you, I need to take your permission to declare that it is you, because that information is always going to be on the internet. People are under the impression, or somehow they believe, that once they erase certain data from their handsets or from their devices, the data is removed from there. But I need to sort of stress that whatever we put out on the internet, it cannot be deleted, it cannot be removed from there. We might be able to clear out our data, our devices, our handsets, our chat history, but all conversation, all chats, all pictures that we share, or comments, even the number of edits we put onto a comment, are always visible and very accessible to a law enforcement agency. So sometimes you see people, they write something and then they erase it or they retract the comments. Even on Twitter, people write and then they delete. But law enforcement can always get those comments. And of course, if they are controversial, they can always be used against us. It is very important to think before we write anything. In the spur of the moment, in our excitement, we write certain things which could be used against us, or it could be detrimental to our own safety later. So we use social media for a number of reasons nowadays, and it could be personal reasons, and it is increasingly personal, professional, and also for literary or educational purposes. In the new normal, use of social media is something that is not going to go away from our lives ever again. So we need to be careful about how we interact with this medium, which is sort of a one-way traffic. And once we enter that particular lane of interacting, there is no going back on it. It has been stressed often enough that we should not accept friend requests from strangers, friend requests from people we do not know. So there are certain red flags that we need to be aware of. When I send a friend request, supposing to any of you, it should be your first activity to be scrolling through my profile to see what type of a person I am. I certainly do that when I get a friend request. Of course, we do not know people all over the world, and we are on the social platforms to make friends, to get to know people. So that is the primary purpose of a social platform, but without making ourselves vulnerable to danger, without putting our families or our security, our data in danger, we need to do that. So people would be sending you requests, but they would be hiding their profiles. I do not see the purpose of that. If I am to befriend you, I should be able to disclose what type of a person I am. So that is a red flag. Secondly, when we create an account, the platform asks us our gender. When you see a request or you see a statement by somebody, the platforms sometimes notify you there are certain giveaways, that if I reveal myself as a female, I use the feminine pronoun for myself, but if the platform says it is his birthday today, so that should be taken as a red flag, and you should cross check to see whether I am who I am. So there are many times people who do not put their own pictures on their profiles or on any of their posts. Those are hidden. So if it is the account of a person who is a follower of a celebrity and they're using the picture of the celebrity, then it is acceptable, even though it is still impersonation. But for an individual, if you are unable to see details of where they lived, where they worked, what type of person they are, who their friends are, it is best to stay away. Many people on social platforms, maybe they befriend me, and if I send you a friend request, or if they send you a friend request, you would see me as the common friend. But then you really need to check the profile of that person to see whether you have common interests. They might know me or they might not know me as a common friend, but whether the information that they have put out on their profile is something which relates to you, is something which is consonance with what you do, the type of person you are, you should certainly take the request. But if you think it is a totally unrelated profile, it is best not to take that request. Of course, on the social media, we all look at the numbers of followers, number of friends, number of tweets, but numbers are hardly an indicator of the character of the person or the subjective side of a person. Numbers are very objective and they do not give a clear picture. Now, a good practice to follow on the internet is whenever we log out of our system, we need to log out of our accounts as well. And a camera should never be left on. When you are using a laptop, the camera is, like I can see, it's right on top here. Whenever you're logging out of your machine, and if you're not in a live session, please cover the camera. That is a good practice to have. So we talked of the security and the privacy aspects. Now the third part is the reporting mechanism. Almost all platforms on social media give people the right to report suspicious activity. We should be able to utilize them for our benefit. I had shared earlier, there is a government website which has been created recently on which people can report suspicious activity, suspicious emails, or suspicious sites as well. Please do note, it is www.cybercrime.government.in. This is a site which allows even anonymous reporting of cyber crimes. Many times people ask what all constitutes cybercrime or what all comes under the purview of a cybercrime. So any activity, any chat, any discussions, any exchange of documents or photographs, videos on any of the apps on social media, including WhatsApp, Twitter, including messaging, Messenger, Instagram, all these come under the purview of social media, and whatever exchanges you have with a person on these platforms come under the purview of cyber laws and IT laws of the country, and they can very well be reported. So if it is a social exchange on any of the media, including WhatsApp, or if it's a financial transaction, all of these come under the purview of IT Act and they can be reported, and there are mechanisms for redressal. First and foremost is reporting on the cybercrime portal of the Government of India. So now we would talk of the various threats and dangers that we find on the social media nowadays. Those include cyber harassing and cyber bullying as well. There were certain aspects of our lives which we used to face physically, but now many of these have impinged on our social life. They have come through the social media as well. So when we used to talk of a cyber bullying incident, the picture which emerged in our mind was maybe of a university going or a college student facing certain unwanted pressure or unwanted activity through their colleagues, through their peers. But nowadays, This is something which has come online and it has come to impinge on our lives, irrespective of the fact that we might be mature people, we might not be students. Women and children have been facing cyberbullying to a very large extent. Now, I have been reading comments on several platforms that people are finding that their children have been ostracized by their peers in their playgroups. Now, this is a clear sign of bullying. It is a psychological problem, not just of the victim, but of the person who is the bully. And more often than not, if not permanent, it does lead to great harassment of the individual. It leads to long term psychological distress of the victim. And of course, it needs counseling, it needs redressal at the earliest, as contrasted to maybe 8 to 9 months earlier when we could restrict the times that our children used to be using social media. Perforce, we have had to give extra time to the children because of the educational demands also, but that has made them very, very vulnerable. And it is pertinent to note that all social media, all apps, they advise a minimum age limit for the children to be on. Earlier, when we used to go to the movies, there were notifications, there were restrictions of age appropriate viewing. So nowadays, we have sort of given into the pressure and we are a bit lax in determining what app or what game, or even when we are using Netflix and Amazon and all these platforms as a social or as a family activity, as a family pastime, we have somehow become a bit lax in determining whether the content that we are watching is age appropriate for a child or not. This is very important, especially in view of the fact that viewing all these shows has become the norm, and it's become a bit fluid what time is actually structured for viewing. Family time has come to mean more social media time. But we need to be careful of the content which our children are watching with us, because as is said in cybercrime, for a child, these are things which are used by a predator to groom children. So I think we all are a bit liable to be doing that. We all are a bit guilty to be doing that, because the lines are blurred and family time has now come to mean more social media time. So please, I would request, the type of content that you're watching has long term effect on the psyche of your child. So please be very careful about the ratings given on the shows. Even for the apps that we allow our children to use, parental control and parental guidance are two things. Now, we do not want to talk of controls because we all say we live in a democracy and we all have rights. But then to safeguard our children from that content is very important, because that is going to mold their minds into what they're going to be in the future. So that is something we have to be very careful of. And the devices that we give them for their literary activities, those also can be moderated. And there are options on mobile phones as well for control to be in the hand of the parents regarding what type of content a child is watching. Recently, a gaming app PUBG was banned. Parental control limits were installed on it, and it was inappropriate for children, I think, below age of 7. But I saw and people reported that children as young as 3 and 4 were also using that platform. Fortunately, it's banned for now. In the same way, the comments that we see or the content that we come across on social media is not always child friendly or child appropriate. So we need to be careful about that. Continuing with the safety of children, earlier, before this pandemic period, I think most households used to have a conversation regarding how the day was with the child. When the child used to come home from school, we generally used to ask, "Aaj kya kiya? Aaj school mein kya hua? Aaj कौन सी मैम आई, कौन सा फ्रेंड आया, क्या बात हुई, how did you do in school?" I think the conversation needs to be remodeled on the times in view of the fact that most education has also gone online and children are spending a lot of time online, we need to rephrase this conversation and ask, आज online activity कैसे रही? So I would request all parents here to make this a daily activity with their children. And please do ask how their day has been online. So it is a good practice to not use your real name, your actual name, when you're interacting with people online. This is for children when they are gaming. There are lots of predators on a gaming platform. There are no checks and balances through the platform to actually determine whether I am who I claim to be. So I could very well say I am a 17-year-old, but I could well be a 30 plus person. And when the child is interacting with me, they would be interacting with me as I have declared myself to be a 15 or a 17-year-old. But it could be a predator looking out for a vulnerable child. So these conversations about how the day has been or how the activity has been for the day online, these are very important. And the child should know that they could always come to you as a confidant to indulge in you if they have faced any harassment or if they have faced any inappropriate comment. So, what is inappropriate should also be conveyed to a child. Children are very smart nowadays, they know more than us, but still, it is very impressionable for them. It is not actually appropriate for them to be viewing a lot of violence or content which is inappropriate for their age. Even though they believe, and so do we, that they are better equipped to handle it than we were when we were their age. Whenever a child is viewing any content, it should be in an area which is accessible to the parents. It should not be in one corner, and the screen should not be hidden from them. So you're able to see what they are doing, you're able to hear what they are doing. And if there are any changes in your child's behavior, if they seem to be withdrawn, if they lose appetite, if there's all of a sudden they do not want to interact with a certain group of peers, or if they do not want to attend a class, it could be adolescence and hormones in play. But continued behavior of this type is a red flag, and parents should be able to get it out of them, whether it is something which is pestering them or whether it is something to do with their friends which has impacted them as well. Coming to transactions on social media using our devices. So it is good to use different IDs for different purposes. When you are on social media, it is good not to use your personal IDs for professional work and to keep your IDs separate for financial transactions. We have talked of passwords earlier. Now, passwords which are a dead giveaway, names of my pet, of of the institution that I go to, of my office, of my business, of my child, and this should not be used. So many times we see people whose email ID is, for example, Aparna 1920. So that could be an indication that 1920 is my year of birth. And of course, we are very fond of celebrating our birthdays online. So now you have a lot of my information. It is very easy to piece together information about me and to target my contacts, my friends, my relatives, and my family and children. Of course, we do not want that. So it is, again, I would stress, it is very, very important to pause and think whether we really want to put out that information online. There were conversations on certain Facebook groups regarding how people get our information. So there are various ways when we unwittingly give out our information. First is when we give out the permissions, when we declare, when we fill in all this information on these apps or online platforms. And secondly, when we are at certain malls and places, you would see people walking around with slips of paper in their hand कि कोई draw होने वाला है, इसमें भर दीजिए, you would get some incentives. So these are ways to get our information out of us, and we need to be wary that third parties buy all these data, and this is how scammers are able to access our email IDs. They are able to send us messages which we have never signed up for. So anything on social media, anything on message, anything on certain apps which seems too good to be true. Lotteries, cars that you have won, mansions, dollars, pounds that you have won. It is all too good to be true. You know that you have never applied for this. You did not ever buy that lottery ticket. You have never applied for a KBC, entry or whatever. And without even applying for it, you are getting so many dollars or so many rupees in prizes. So it is a red flag, definite red flag, that these are frauds and we do not need to fall for it. The KYC scam, the Crorepati scam, job scams, we are getting a lot of work from home scams nowadays. People are getting offers, but we need to be aware that genuine companies never ask money for registration for any portal. Genuine companies never ask you to pay certain amount of money upfront before they even register you. So if you're being asked for money, it is a certain scam. Even on dating sites also do not vet the people who enroll. You could be 50 plus and you could put in your age as 18. I think that's the minimum age they require. So you could just put in your age, or you could fill in your data with anything you want. You could fill in any personal details. There is no authentication, there aren't any checks. And many people fall a prey to that. Even on the matrimonial sites, the data which is given there might not be true. So we need to double check before we send any money, before we consent to meet that person in any public space. Especially for dating sites, I would advise not just men, not just women, but everybody. If you are to meet anybody for a job interview, for social purposes, for dating, and you have not met the person earlier, the first step would be to do an in-conference meeting, would be to do a video meeting so that you're able to see the person who's in front of you. Without that personal in-camera meeting, please do not go for any physical meeting. Insist on a camera meeting. If you are satisfied with having met that person online in camera and you do feel the need to further your relationship by meeting personally, please do it in a public space. Do not opt to meet in somebody's house, in some hotel, some motel, some other rooms and all, because you never know what sort of person it is. It might not be safe at all. So we have been talking of cybersecurity for ourselves, for our children, for women, for people in general, the cyber frauds that we encounter nowadays. A very important segment, very important stakeholder of the entire ecosystem is the seniors, our elders. And of course, they are new to the arena. Many times we buy them the devices and we want them online because of course we are not able to meet them physically. But apart from buying the devices, it is our duty to be warning them of the various pitfalls and dangers. So it is a good practice, if possible, please help your parents, your seniors, your elders to do that first transaction. If they have to visit the ATM, please go with them once or twice and make them aware of the scams that they could face. Make them aware of the devices which could be the false cameras, the false panels which could be installed there to steal their PIN. And also the various frauds that we encounter and which we read of, we need to inform them as well that आजकल ये चल रहा है तो please आपके पास भी कॉल आएगा, आप इसको entertain मत करना. So those are called social engineering scams, wherein a person to person connect is used to scam the person, to defraud the person. A good practice to follow is not to click on any links, not to send any OTPs back to the sender, not to respond to any messages which you are unsure of. When we get links on social media, on our messages, on mail, there's a blue line under it and the link is in blue. So the blue is red. Blue is red. So red stands for danger. It is a good practice not to click on any links sent to you by any sites, by people sent by so-called banks, anybody whom you do not know. Please do not click on any links. Please do not send back any OTPs. People are getting messages that I have sent you an OTP by mistake. It is for my account. Please resend it to me. Please do not do that. Do not send back any OTPs, any 4-digit, 6-digit numbers. Please be wary of it and do not do that. We have discussed vaccine frauds earlier on the platform. I would just briefly touch on it, and I think we should be good for today. If anybody wants to ask something, please do let me know. So nowadays, various types of scams, including the vaccine scams nowadays, have come around. And online, people have been selling vaccines. Of course, those are fake. Generally, as prescribed by the doctors, they are just to be 2 vaccine shots. But out of turn vaccination, more effective vaccination, cures for COVID are all there out on various social media. Please do not fall for them. Those are scams. So many times we want preferential treatment, we want things out of turn, but it is good to be warned that out of turn things might not be genuine. In India, vaccines can only be accessed by registering on the CoWIN app. The registration on the app is not open as of now. Now, when we are downloading apps or when we are downloading upgrades, please be careful to select only from the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store. And whether an app is secure or not, we could check by seeing the number of downloads. So if this app which we want to install in our machines is a relative new one, or it does not have too many downloads, it has not secured good ratings or reviews, it will be good to wait and watch and not download the app right away, because that app might not be a genuine one. It could be a scam put out by scammers to mirror our information to steal our data. I would like to inform all the esteemed members of the group that every Friday is Cybersecurity Day, and I do put out cybersecurity tips. Please do go through them, and if you need to ask anything, please do inbox. There is a helpline also, the number of which is 8595192662. This is the helpline number for any other cyber issue. They can call on the number or send a WhatsApp message. Now, regarding the 4th pillar of cybersecurity, I believe it is a very important one, and that is of wellness. Now, when we are on social media, we need to have a certain resilience in us to bounce back from maybe the harsh comments that we face, the dogpiling that we face, the cyberbullying which we might face. Now, when we put out certain comments, certain posts, It is good to receive likes for it, but there might be people who might not like it, or there might be people who might like it, but they do not want to sort of put it out there or to put a thumbs up or a good or a heart sign to it. So we should take it in our stride and accept it that it's okay. Somebody might like, somebody might not like. And if we do get adverse comments, we need to exercise a bit of restraint and not jump onto that comment and take it to heart. The first thing, if there is an incidence of cyberbullying, is not to retort. हमको शेर का सवा शेर नहीं करना है. उसने एक कहा तो मैं 10 कहूं. That is not going to solve the purpose. And the best that we can do with an offensive remark is to block and report. That mechanism is always there. जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कि कीचड़ में पत्थर फेंकने से छींटे अपने ओर ही आते हैं. तो हमको भी वही नहीं करना है जो सामने वाला कर रहा है. If that comment is offensive, we can very well block it. And I should like to point out that certain comments we are able to block from our page, from our sites. Even initially, we could put in these blocks when we create an account. There are options in the settings wherein we could put in certain words that if these words or even an individual ID, individual profile, that also can be put in when we log into our account through our settings, that these are offensive comments or these are offensive people which I want to block. So such people would not be able to comment on our sites, on our posts. And of course, we have the option to keep comments till our friends. We do not need to make it public. This is one veil of secrecy that we could put for our comments. Regarding well-being, it is our duty to promote positive content. Now, many a times you would have seen that people do this, it's called roasting. So now it is people like us who are propelling that. People like us who are increasing likes for it and promoting such content. So if it is an offensive comment, instead of blocking and reporting, we are falling into the trap of promoting it. So if I say something offensive to you and you repeat that, you are magnifying it, helping to amplify it and magnifying it. This is a sort of a difference between the real world and the virtual world, that I could in person tell you that next person has said this to me. I could tell you verbatim. But if I copy that offensive post or an offensive comment as proof, I might be forwarding that this person has said this to me. In effect, I am amplifying that vile content. So I am helping to spread it. This is something we need to be careful of. So now when things get out of hand, when offensive comments, when those roasts and when pulling people down, laughing at the expense of others, when it comes to us, then we take offense to it. But when it is at the expense of others, then we have a good laugh of it. So friends, we need to be careful of such things. जो हमको बुरा लग रहा है वो दूसरे को भी बुरा लग सकता है. So there should be a line between what is a healthy content, between what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So a good practice would be to put out or share things which make me happy, which make you feel nice, which are positive in nature, rather than to promote things which fame somebody, pull down people, or give you a laugh at the expense of others. I'm sorry, I'm not able to see everyone's comments. So with this, I think we could wrap up today's session. And once again, thanks everyone for being a part of the session. Please do let me know what other stories you would want through the Cyber Sayani videos that I create, or what other languages I would try to include certain languages as well. So it's a voluntary activity that I do, create certain videos promote cyber wellness and cyber security. And any other issues, please do inbox on the helpline number and let me know if I could address the issues. Be safe. Thank you and bye bye. Good night.